This is Brian Rizzo, CEO of ICE Cable Systems. And we're here on the set today here in Los Angeles to shoot a segment for things that you absolutely need to know when it comes to wiring cable. You know, when it comes to buying wiring cable, there's certain things that if I were to sit down and have an opportunity to talk to guys about, that I would really stress right away and say, here's what you absolutely have to understand before you go forward and choose a vendor. One of those things, one of those really key things that we see on a consistent basis is the idea that there's more to cost. When you look at the price of wiring cable, there's more to cost than just what you pay for the box. It seems like a rather odd concept. You know, I pay $100 for the box, and what do you mean there's other costs? We refer to them as things like hidden costs, soft costs, indirect costs, and really, these types of costs, which we'll get into more in a moment, speak to additional things that will crop up as a result of either buying the wrong cable or buying cheap cable that ultimately down the road will cost you a lot more later. You could have saved a few dollars on that box up front, but if you end up, as an example, having to rip the walls open later, you really didn't save any money. So, you know, there's a lot of different costs that could be considered soft costs. The first one I mentioned a moment ago, where the first time that saving a few dollars on a box of cable results in a problem with the cable and a situation where you've got a problem with a client and then have to rip the walls open to repair that situation, you're going to spend more fixing one of those situations than all the money you've ever saved in all of your boxes of cheap cable. From that perspective alone, it makes sense to consider more than just what you pay for that box of cable, especially when the differences are relatively small on a per box basis. That's the first thing. The second thing is, you know, we talk about efficiency a lot, and you know, anything that slows a job down, anything that slows down the installation of wiring cable on a job really speaks to efficiency. Losses in efficiency will result in increased labor costs. If it takes you longer to get the job done, you're going to pay more. For the consumers out there, you're going to get charged more labor costs if the company that's pulling the wire and cable has an inefficient product, it's taking them longer to finish the job, and they're passing those labor costs on to you. So it's not good at the consumer level for sure. It's bad for the dealers. Nobody wins when you have to pay more for labor costs as a result of inefficient products. At ICE, there's a lot of different innovations that we build into both the product itself as well as the dispenser, the boxes and such, that really cut down on the time needed to pull the cables and to get the job done, increase efficiency in a really big way. And in some other segments, we'll go through what some of those specific innovations are. But I think that from a dealer's perspective, you want to look for companies who are adding to your business in that fashion, that are creating efficiencies for you so you can spend less time on labor and you can pass that on all the way at the consumer level. Other areas that are really important here, because, again, when you're attempting to save a little bit of money, on a per box basis, there's going to be some ramifications for that. And when you're considering costs outside of just what you pay for the box, and you're thinking about some of these soft costs, you have to think about all the things that can happen as a result of saving a few dollars and what some of those other costs might be that can crop up. The cheap stuff is going to have issues in many cases as a result of the safety ratings that it does or does not have. There's going to be less copper in it, which means your performance is going to suffer. It may not make spec. And these are all reasons that you'll have to come back to the job later and in some cases actually fix it, rip it out, or replace it. And we've seen it happen on a number of occasions. So it is a factor in the industry for sure. Dispensers are a big deal because with the wrong dispenser, the installers will spend more time on the job doing surgery on the boxes and actually putting this stuff back together so the wire actually pulls out of it than they will be pulling cable. That's a problem like we spoke about a moment ago in terms of lower labor costs. So the soft costs will crop up later, whether you're talking about efficiency or issues related to problems with the product itself. Those aren't the things that you're thinking about when you're talking about, saving a couple boxes on the wire and cable, but that you should be. Nowadays, labor is considered the biggest portion of the job. If you can save money on labor by working with products that are more efficient and more innovative, again, you can pass those on to the consumer, and everybody wins. So again, the idea is that, look beyond just what you're paying for the box, and make sure that you're not going to get hit with soft costs as a result of saving a couple of bucks here and there on a box of wire and cable. I'm Brian Rizzo. Thanks for watching.